Hello, everyone, and welcome to King English Podcast. This is the place where you can practice English listening and learn how to improve step by step. Have you ever thought about becoming fluent in English, but you just didn't know where to start?
Yeah, I think many people feel that way. You're motivated, you want to improve, but when you look around, there's grammar rules, long vocabulary lists, apps, courses, and podcasts everywhere. It feels overwhelming.
Exactly. So what happens? Most learners end up trying a little bit of everything. One day they study grammar, the next day they watch a video, then maybe they download an app. But nothing really sticks.
And when you don't see results quickly, it's so easy to just give up. You think, why bother? Maybe I'll never get fluent. But that's not true.
No, not at all. Fluency isn't about cramming information or studying harder until you feel exhausted. It's about the small, consistent things you do every single day. Those daily habits build up over time.
Right. And that's why in today's episode, we're going to share 5 simple habits that can actually make a real difference. Nothing complicated, nothing stressful, just practical steps that work.
And before we dive in, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Speaker 1.
And I'm Speaker 2. Welcome to King English Podcast, where we focused on learning English in a way that feels natural and comfortable. No heavy textbooks, no boring drills, just real English that fits into your daily life.
If you've ever felt stuck or unsure about what to do next in your learning, this episode is for you. We're going to break it all down into simple, doable steps.
Let's get started. So the first habit we want to talk about is reading in English every single day.
And before you panic, don't worry. We're not saying you need to read for hours. Even 30 minutes a day is enough. If you can do more, that's great, but 30 minutes is the perfect place to start.
I know what many learners are probably thinking right now. I don't have time. But let's be honest, most of us spend way too much time scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. If you swap just 30 minutes of that time for reading in English, you'll already be improving.
That's true. And you don't need to start with anything super difficult. You can begin with news articles, short stories, or even children's books. Pick something that feels easy enough to enjoy.
Yes, please don't start with a huge classic like War and Peace. You'll probably give up after 2 pages and feel frustrated. Start small. As you get comfortable, you can move to longer books or more complex articles.
The most important thing is consistency. Reading should be a daily habit, not something you do once and forget about for a week.
Here's another powerful tip. Read out loud. Most people only read in their head, which is fine, but if you really want to improve, speaking the words out loud makes a huge difference.
Exactly. You can try this. Read a sentence silently first, then say it out loud. Do it 2 or 3 times if you want. This helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and it gets you used to hearing your own voice in English.
At first, it might feel strange, but over time, you'll notice something interesting. You'll start recognizing patterns, phrases, and vocabulary that naturally stay in your memory.
And when you're in a real conversation, those words will just come out without you even trying. That's the power of daily reading.
So that's habit number 1. Read in English every day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. Start small, read out loud, and keep it consistent.
All right, let's move on to habit number 2, listening to English every day. So we've covered the first habit, reading every day. Now let's talk about the second habit that can really boost your English, listening every day.
Right. And when we say listening, we don't mean just having English in the background while you're washing dishes or scrolling on your phone. That's passive listening. It's not bad, but it's not enough if you want to improve fluency.
Exactly. The key is active listening. That means focusing on what you're hearing, paying attention to the words, the tone, the rhythm, and even the pauses. It's about training your ears to really understand how English is spoken in real life.
Let me ask you this. How many learners say, I already listen to English all the time, but I don't feel like I'm improving.
So many. And usually the problem is that they're not fully engaged. They might play a podcast in the background, but they're not concentrating. To really improve, you need moments where you're 100% focused on the listening.
So, what can learners listen to?
Great question. It can be anything you enjoy: podcasts, audiobooks, short stories, even YouTube videos. The important thing is that it's content you actually like. If you hate the material, you won't stick with it.
I agree. And another tip, choose content where you hear natural conversations, not just classroom English. Real people don't speak like textbooks. They mumble, they use slang, they drop words. If you only learn polished textbook English, you'll be lost in real conversations.
That's so true. I remember the first time I watched a British sitcom. Honestly, I couldn't understand half of the jokes because the accents were so thick. But after some time, my ears adjusted.
Yeah, and that's the point. Different accents are part of real English. You'll hear American English, British English, Australian English, Indian English, all slightly different. The more you expose yourself to different accents, the easier it gets to understand.
But here's the thing. Don't start with something that's too difficult. If native speed conversations feel overwhelming, use subtitles or slow down the audio.
Right, you have to push yourself just a little, but not so much that you feel lost. If it's way too hard, you'll get frustrated and quit. Start at your level and build up.
Another great method is replaying content. The first time you listen, maybe you only catch 30%. That's fine. Play it again. The second time, you'll recognize more. By the third time, phrases will start clicking in your mind.
That's such good advice. It's like your brain needs time to warm up. Each time you replay, your understanding goes deeper.
Exactly. And let's not forget, listening daily doesn't mean hours of practice. Even 15 minutes a day adds up. Over a week, that's almost 2 hours of focused English listening.
So if someone says, I don't have time, the answer is simple. Do you have 15 minutes while commuting or while cooking? That's enough to build the habit.
And here's a little trick. Try shadowing. That means listening to a sentence, then repeating it out loud, copying the pronunciation and rhythm. It's both listening and speaking practice in one.
Oh, yes. Shadowing is powerful. At first, it feels a bit weird, but it forces your mouth and ears to work together. It makes you sound more natural.
So to summarize, habit number 2 is listening every single day. Focus on active listening. Choose content you enjoy. Replay it, and don't be afraid to use subtitles or slow things down.
And remember, it's not about cramming everything in one sitting. It's about building a routine. A little bit every day is more powerful than hours once a week.
That's the secret to fluency: consistency. And listening is one of the easiest habits to fit into your daily life.
So we've got reading and listening. What comes next?
Well, next is the habit most learners are afraid of: speaking every day. All right, so we've talked about reading every day and listening every day. Now let's face the habit that makes most learners nervous: speaking in English every single day.
Yeah, this is the big one. So many learners say, I don't have anyone to practice with, or I feel embarrassed when I speak. And because of that, they avoid speaking until they feel ready.
But here's the truth. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never start. Fluency doesn't just appear magically one day. You have to practice speaking, even if it's just with yourself.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. Do you need a partner to practice?
No, you really don't. Of course, having a partner is helpful, but it's not the only way. You can talk to yourself, you can read out loud, you can even record your own voice. The goal is to get words out of your mouth.
That's so important. Speaking is like training a muscle. If you don't use it, it feels weak, but the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right. And a lot of people worry about sounding silly. They think, what if I make mistakes? What if I sound weird? But honestly, who cares?
You're not giving a TED Talk, you're practicing. Nobody is judging you.
Exactly. Think about how kids learn their first language. They make mistakes all the time, but they keep speaking anyway. And guess what? That's how they improve.
Here's a simple exercise. When you're cooking, describe what you're doing out loud in English. I'm chopping onions. Now I'm adding salt. Or when you're walking, talk about what you see. The weather is sunny today. There's a bus coming down the street.
That's a great idea. You can even practice with your phone. Instead of just typing a text, read it out loud before you send it. It's a tiny change, but it trains your speaking muscles.
And if you want to take it a step further, record your voice. At first, you might hate how you sound. We all do. But over time, you'll hear your progress. You'll notice your pronunciation improving, your rhythm becoming smoother.
Plus, recording gives you a chance to compare. You can listen to a native speaker, then listen to yourself and see where you need to adjust.
And if you do find someone to practice with, a friend, a language partner, or even a group online, that's fantastic. But remember, even if you don't, you can still make speaking a daily habit.
Let me ask you this. How much time should learners spend speaking every day?
At least 30 minutes if you can, but just like with reading and listening, even less is fine if you're consistent. The point is to do it regularly, not perfectly.
Yeah, imagine speaking for 15 to 30 minutes every day. That's hours and hours of practice by the end of the month. It adds up fast.
Another tip, don't just repeat single words. Try full sentences. That way you're practicing grammar, word order, and rhythm all at once.
Oh, and here's the fun activity. Pick a topic, set a timer for 5 minutes, and just talk. Don't stop, don't translate, just keep speaking. If you don't know a word, describe it in another way. That's a skill native speakers use all the time.
That's a great way to build fluency. It teaches your brain to think in English instead of constantly translating.
So, to sum up, habit number 3 is to speak every single day. You don't need a partner, you don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to wait until you feel ready. Just start talking, even if it's only to yourself.
And remember, every time you speak, you're building confidence. The more you do it, the less scary it feels.
So, we've got reading, listening, and speaking. What's the fourth habit?
The fourth habit is all about immersion, surrounding yourself with English so it becomes part of your everyday environment.
So far, we've talked about reading, listening, and speaking every day. Now comes one of my favorite habits, immersion.
Immersion? You mean like moving to an English-speaking country?
That's the traditional idea, yeah. People think you can only immerse yourself in English if you live in the UK, the US, or Australia. But honestly, that's not true anymore. With technology, you can create immersion right where you are.
I agree. It's 2025. We carry little computers in our pockets, our phones, that can give us English input all day long if we choose.
Exactly. Immersion simply means surrounding yourself with English. It's like putting your brain in an English environment, so it has no choice but to adapt.
Let's break it down. What are some simple ways people can immerse themselves without leaving home?
One easy way is to change your phone or laptop settings to English. Every time you check notifications, read a message, or look at settings, you'll see English words. It's a small change, but it builds familiarity.
That's true. I remember when I changed my phone language to English for the first time. At first, I struggled to find settings or alarm. But after a few days, it became natural. I didn't even notice it anymore.
That's the power of immersion. It forces your brain to learn naturally, without textbooks.
Another good one is watching TV shows or movies in English. Not just once a week, but regularly. Choose shows you actually enjoy so it doesn't feel like homework.
And use subtitles wisely. If you're a beginner, start with English subtitles. Listen and read at the same time. As you improve, try turning them off. The point is to push your ears to catch meaning directly from sound.
Music is another great tool. Listen to English songs, not just for entertainment, but also to catch words, rhythm, and expressions. Sometimes songs repeat phrases, which helps them stick in your memory.
Podcast, too. You can listen while commuting, exercising, or even washing dishes. Your brain picks up so much when it's exposed every day.
Let's not forget social media. Instead of scrolling in your native language, follow English-speaking creators, teachers, comedians, or news pages. Your feed becomes an English learning tool.
Right, that's what immersion really means. You're choosing English in your daily environment instead of your native language.
Here's a question. What if someone feels overwhelmed? Like they switch everything to English, but they don't understand most of it. Doesn't that cause frustration?
That's a great point. Immersion doesn't mean drowning. You have to find a balance. Choose content that's just a little above your level, enough to challenge you, but not so hard that you give up.
So kind of like the Goldilocks zone. Not too easy, not too difficult, just right.
Exactly. For example, if novels feel too heavy, read short articles or children's books. If movies are too fast, watch YouTube videos with slower speech. Step by step, your brain adapts.
And the key is consistency, not perfection. It's better to watch 10 minutes of English every day than to binge 3 hours once a month.
Right. Immersion is about lifestyle, not cramming. Imagine if you only brushed your teeth once a month for 3 hours. It wouldn't be effective. The same with language.
That's a funny but true comparison. So basically, immersion means making English part of your everyday life, not just study time.
Yes. Think about how you use your native language. You don't study it, you live in it. That's the goal with English, too.
I want to add something here. Immersion isn't just about input, it's also about mindset. If you start thinking in English, even for small things, you're immersing your brain.
Absolutely. For example, when you're planning your day, instead of thinking, I need to buy bread, try thinking it in English. I need to buy bread today. It's a small mental switch, but powerful.
Or when you see something funny, instead of describing it in your native language in your head, describe it in English. That's immersion at a personal level.
The beauty of immersion is that it builds fluency naturally. You're not forcing yourself to memorize lists, you're learning through living.
So, to recap habit 4, surround yourself with English. Change your devices, watch shows, listen to music, follow English-speaking creators, read short articles, and even think in English.
And remember, you don't need to move abroad to immerse yourself. You can create your own English world wherever you are.
I like that. Create your own English world. It makes learning feel less like studying and more like living.
Exactly. And once English becomes part of your daily environment, progress feels natural and automatic.
All right, so we've covered immersion. What's the final habit? The one that ties it all together?
The final habit is about writing, using English to reflect, record, and reinforce what you've learned. So we've gone through reading, listening, speaking, and immersion. Now let's talk about the final habit, writing in English every day.
Writing, huh? A lot of learners skip this one. They think speaking and listening are more important, but writing actually plays a huge role in fluency.
Exactly. Writing forces you to slow down and really think about the words you're using. It helps you notice grammar, sentence structure, and even vocabulary gaps you didn't realize you had.
Yeah, when you write something and get stuck, you suddenly see, oh, I don't know how to say this in English. That moment shows you exactly what you need to learn next.
That's true. Writing is like holding up a mirror to your English. It reflects your strengths and weaknesses.
But here's the good news. You don't need to write essays or reports. You can start small. For example, keep a simple journal in English.
Yes, every night just write a few sentences about your day. It could be as basic as, today I went to work, I was busy, but I learned something new. That alone builds consistency.
Another idea is to write down new words or phrases you hear during the day, and then make your own sentences with them. That way, vocabulary actually sticks instead of disappearing.
Exactly. If you just read or hear a new word, you might forget it tomorrow. But if you write it down and use it in your own sentence, you're telling your brain, this is important. Remember this.
Here's a tip I like. Write short messages to yourself, like little notes or to-do lists, but do them in English. Instead of writing, buy milk in your native language, write it in English.
That's a clever way to sneak English into everyday life. You're turning ordinary habits into practice opportunities.
And if someone wants a bigger challenge, they can try writing short stories, blog posts, or even social media updates in English. It doesn't have to be perfect, just genuine.
Right. The key is not perfection, but consistency. Even 5 minutes of writing every day is better than nothing.
Plus, writing helps with memory. Scientists say when you write something, your brain processes it more deeply than when you just hear it. So writing strengthens your long-term recall.
That's why I always recommend combining writing with the other habits. For example, after you read an article, write a short summary in English. Or after you watch a show, jot down your favorite line.
That's a great strategy. It connects input and output. You're not just absorbing English, you're using it.
Exactly. And don't worry about mistakes. Your journal isn't for a teacher, it's for you. The goal is practice, not perfection.
But let's be honest, some learners might feel shy about writing. They think, what if my grammar is terrible? How can they overcome that?
Start private. Write only for yourself at first. No one has to see it. Once you build confidence, you can share with a friend, a teacher, or even post online if you want feedback.
That's a good point. Writing can also be social. Joining an online community where people share short writings in English can be motivating.
Definitely. But again, the main thing is to make writing a daily habit. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and you'll see progress.
Let's imagine someone follows all 5 habits: reading, listening, speaking, immersion, and writing every single day. What would their English look like after 6 months?
I think they'd see huge improvements. Their vocabulary would grow from reading and listening. Their confidence would rise from speaking. Their environment would shift through immersion. And writing would glue everything together by reinforcing memory and structure.
That's powerful. It's like building a strong house. Each habit is a different wall, and writing is the cement holding them in place.
Nicely said. And remember, fluency isn't about doing one giant thing. It's about small daily actions. 5 simple habits repeated again and again.
So to recap habit 5, write in English every day. Keep a journal, note down new words, make to-do lists, or even post online.
The more you write, the more natural English becomes. And when you put all 5 habits together, you create a complete system. Reading, listening, speaking, immersion, and writing. They work together like gears in a machine.
And the machine runs best when it runs every day, not once in a while.
Exactly. Fluency isn't built overnight. It's built day by day, habit by habit.
So if you're listening right now, choose one habit and start today. Don't wait. Even 5 minutes counts.
And once it feels natural, add another habit. Before you know it, English will be part of your daily life.
And that's when fluency begins to feel possible, not a dream, but a reality.
That's the message. Small habits, big results.